Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Reality Reads, and welcome to a new series that I am calling Reality Rewind. This series is going to be a combination of reading some old books as well as watching their adaptations and doing a comparison. So I'm really excited for it. Like I said in my first video of the year, I really wanted to try some new, more creative ideas, and this year I'm really wanting to lean a lot into nostalgia. So I felt like this was just the perfect way to go about this. So our first series that we are going to be reading is Gossip Girl. Now, Gossip Girl. Now, this, like I said, is a new video series I'm doing on my channel. These reading vlogs are going to be split in multiple parts, and there is kind of a reason for that. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how this is all going to work, because I'll be honest, I've never read this full series before. This first book, now the show, watched her a million times. When did this book come out? Copyright 2002. So I would have been in middle school when this came out. What was I reading in middle school? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't really reading as much. I feel like I was, because we were definitely still doing AR, and I know I always made it to our AR party. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, I was reading The Click. I was reading the Click series in middle school. So I don't know. I just somehow missed this book series. But like I said, actually, I missed this book series, and I have watched all of Gossip Girl, the series, but I did not watch that when it was airing. I watched it when all of it was available on Netflix. I binged it one year. That's kind of my history, but reason for saying that is I was trying to find out some information about the book series, because I have heard through the grapevine that there are a lot of differences between the two, between the book and the TV series. So I was trying to figure out how does each book correlate with the TV series? And also trying to avoid spoilers while doing so. And what I was able to find is that books 1 through 3 are pretty much the closest you can get to the season 1 of everything. So I'm going to read books 1 through 3 in today's video. And then depending on what that feels like, if that is truly all of season 1, then we're gonna maybe the next video in this series will be us watching season 1. I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do we want to read the entire book series first and then do the show, or do we want to kind of bounce back and forth? I could see it going well either way. So just let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and we can do that. For today's video, we will be reading books 1 through 3. And here's my other disclaimer. This is going to be a spoiler reading vlog. I really want this to be more of almost like a buddy read, or if you're maybe someone that you've watched the show, but you've never watched the books, but you want to know what the differences are or what the books are about or whatever, this can be a way for you to watch instead of reading it all if you don't want to read the books. Whatever the case may be, I want this to definitely be more so a conversation truly comparing the two and really how we feel about each of them, rather than me giving generic thoughts and opinions and not really going into detail. I really want these to be more in-depth kind of videos. So because of that, they are going to contain spoilers. So that there is your spoiler warning. Very excited to dive into this. I have most of these books. I think I am missing just a few of the last books, which I will purchase once we get there. I've been able so far to get every single one of these books secondhand. So it's been a very inexpensive kind of journey to get all of them. But now that I have them all, I'm really excited to dive in. So let's go ahead and start with book 1, Gossip Girl. I'm literally only on page 1, but I just wanted to say I love how this really does, the way the page is laid out, it really does look like an old, web design. So I think that's really fun that the book really looks like this. Not every page is like this. This is just a post from Gossip Girl herself. I'm assuming. Is it a her or him in the book? I guess we'll find out, won't we? Um, anyways, this looks like an actual blog post. And so that's really fun that it's like that in the book. So, all right, now I'm actually going to read. What the hell? In the book, the maid at the Waldorfs, her name is Esther. Esther better get the fuck out of here. Where's Dorota? Quick update. I'm only like 15 pages in, but there's already so many differences that I want to chat about. Most of it has to do with like character differences and family dynamic differences between the book and the TV show. So off the jump, Blair has a younger brother, which she is an only child in the show. On top of that, Cyrus and Eleanor are like already together in the book, and I feel like that happens quite a bit later in the TV show. Chuck's family is also very different. Number one, and like the biggest one, is his mom is like alive and well. His parents are married still, and he also has a younger sibling. This one to me is just very interesting, and I'm excited to kind of see where Chuck's storyline goes, because such a big storyline and like part of his character is that he doesn't have a mom, that like she basically like died giving birth to him. So this is a very interesting difference to me, and I'm very excited to see how it all plays out. Also, going back to Cyrus, his character is very different here in the book than in the TV show to an extent. In the book, he almost kind of seems a little bit crude, and I don't get that vibe from him in the TV show. Obviously, with Eleanor, he's a little bit over affectionate with like, you know, the hugs and all of that kind of stuff in front of everyone, or just hugging people in general, the awkward thing that he's known for when we're first introduced to him on the TV show. But I wouldn't consider him to be like crude or inappropriate. And especially like after he's been there for a little bit, he almost becomes someone that is like a go-to for like sage advice for some of the younger characters in the show. And I definitely am not getting that vibe from him here in the book. He's like almost like a creep. So that's a very interesting change between the two. Obviously, I appreciate the change because I was kind of like shocked at some of the things that he was saying to Nate specifically. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he changes throughout the book. I don't know. So far, the book is 100% following the pilot episode very, very closely. We have Serena coming back from boarding school. Nate and Blair, the part that I just left off on was Nate and Blair were getting ready to do their thing. But then Nate hears that Serena is back from, you know, another room. He hears Eleanor say Serena's name and like kind of pumps the brakes and wants to go see if Serena is actually back or not. So definitely following the pilot pretty closely. Most of the changes, like I said, are families and family dynamics. One other thing that's different that maybe I'm getting ready to find out is in the pilot episode, the reason Serena comes to this dinner party is because she's looking for her mom so that she can then find Eric. But so far, there has been no mention of any Vanderwoodson kind of people aside from Serena just now being at this party. So I'm interested to see like what is the purpose of her coming to the party this time, because her mom's not there. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. But so far, really good, really interesting. I'm excited to kind of see how these different family dynamics end up playing out. I'm really not all that shocked or surprised that we have extra characters thrown in, like the siblings. Blair has a sibling, Chuck has a sibling. It does still say that Nate is an only child. But I feel like that happens pretty often with adaptations where they will either cut some characters out if they're not like a big storyline, because so far none of those siblings have a storyline that I'm following in the book or anything like that. They're just mentioned that like they exist. And so maybe they just are kind of like non-factors. But sometimes they'll also like combine some characters together into one when they do adaptations. I think the one that I'm most shocked by is Chuck. I just keep going back to his differences. because I just feel like it seems like he probably has the same kind of like personality in the book as in the TV show. Very much like a player and like this rich guy that if you know Chuck, you know Chuck. And like he's giving the same vibes so far in the book. But I also feel like the reasons we were given for the way, like why those are his character traits is one, the guilt that he has about like the death of his mom. And then two, the fact that he is like an only child to this mega wealthy family. So I find it very interesting that two of those things that were like what I think is such establishing traits of his character are different in the book. So I'm just like, what journey are we going to go on with Chuck Bass in the book that's different than the TV show? That has me extremely intrigued. So just saying, but all right, enough rambling. Let me get back to reading.
Well, it's hard to live in the
Last little
city.
update here before I take a break from reading. I'm about a quarter of the way into the book, and some more interesting little family dynamics that are a little bit different. Another one, Blair also has a younger brother. His name is Tyler. And then Serena's dad is also like, her mom and her dad are still together currently. So that's interesting. A couple other things to mention. So far, we have no Humphrey sightings at all. There's no Dan, there's no Jenny, there's no Rufus. None of them so far. Like I said, I'm about a quarter of the way into the book. So we'll see when they decide to pop in. But something else is, I feel like in the show, when Serena comes back, she's really pushing this narrative that, like, she was different at boarding school. She took the learning seriously. She took her education seriously. She wasn't out partying and like sleeping around and all of these different kinds of things. And that's not the case in the book. She is constantly in the book talking about how, like, she was, without going into details, she literally keeps it very surface level. But she's like, I was so bad at boarding school. Like, I have so many stories to tell you all. I was so bad. I was so, like, just constantly saying over and over about how she was so bad at boarding school. And I find that interesting because it's like very different than the story that they're trying to tell in the show. So I'm kind of interested to see like why she left boarding school in the book, because I think it may be for a different reason than in the TV show. The whole Nate and Serena situation went down a little bit differently, but we did get to that already here in this book. Um, Basically, like, they were just the only two people left in the city. And I actually feel like I remember a similar situation with them in one of the later seasons, but it was like summertime. They were the only ones that were kind of left in the city, and they spent a day together. One thing led to another. But something that is very different is that this was both of their first times, to where in the TV show, they very much, I feel like, make it seem like Serena had done this a lot of times and it was Nate's first time only. But here in the book, it is the first time for both of them. So that is everything that I got just from this first little chunk. All of this was just the dinner. This next chapter that I'm getting ready to start is going to be their first day at school. So whenever I get back to reading into this, that's where we're going to be picking up on. But so far, I'm having a good time. Honestly, I'm not someone that rereads very often, and I haven't read the book before, but because I know the show so well, I was kind of nervous that I would find this to be rather boring, especially because it's like very, very YA. But so far, I'm having a good time. So this has me really excited to do this whole series and to read this whole series, because I can definitely tell that there's going to be a lot of differences and different kind of storylines and things like that. So I'm excited to see where the books take us. I'm back with another Gossip Girl update, and I think I'm going to do more informal updates like this where it's more like we're chatting on FaceTime about this little buddy read situation. So some more like character differences between the show and the book. Number one, Vanessa actually goes to Constance with them. Like, she's in the school with them. We did finally get introduced to Dan and Jenny. For the most part, they're the same. Dan is a little bit, if you can imagine, broodier and more like poetry driven in the book than in the TV show. The most shocking difference for me is Rufus. There's a story that they share about that party the first time that Dan sees Serena. And in the book, that party happens at the Humphreys loft. And Rufus is like an alcoholic that like provides all of the party favors for the kids. And that would just quite literally never happen in the TV show. He is like the moral compass of the TV show, basically. So it's just so weird to see him portrayed in that kind of light in the book. It was completely unexpected. Something else about the book that's, I mean, I guess it's just because of the time that the book came out in, but literally everyone is constantly smoking cigs. Cigs before school, cigs at lunch, cigs on the break, where like in the show, it's really Chuck, occasionally Nate. This is everyone. Blair, Serena, all of them. Oh, another character difference is in the book here, Eric is actually older than Serena. It's not her little brother, it's her older brother, and he is away at college. And something that's really interesting about currently the way Serena is being portrayed in the book is like she's not that fashionable, she's like out of the trends, and people are very curious as to why she's back from boarding school, and there's all these rumors swirling around about why she came back. But in the show, people still like crave her attention and acceptance and want to be her friend, to where in the book, like a lot of people are looking down on her. Like I said, they talk about how like the clothes she's wearing, like there was mention of like her clothes being dirty and having holes in it and different things like this. I'm just like, this is such a weird way for me to be picturing Serena in my brain, because the visual I have is based off of the TV show. So, and like she would never be dressed in something like that, honestly. So I don't know. It's different. I'm almost halfway through at this point. So I will be back with some more updates whenever I finish another chunk of the book. Now, one of my recent updates, I was talking about how Rufus is depicted so differently in the book than in the show. And I feel like this little description of him here on this page really kind of like hits that home even harder. So I just want to read it really quick so that like if you haven't read the books, if you're just following along with this journey, like you really understand what I'm saying. But okay, so it says, if there was an award for most embarrassing dad in the universe, Rufus Humphrey would have won it. He was wearing a sweat-stained white wife beater and red-checked boxer shorts and was scratching at his crotch. He hadn't shaved in a few days, and his gray beard seemed to be growing at different intervals. Some of it was thick and long, but in between were bald patches and patches of 5 o'clock shadow. His curly gray hair was matted and his brown eyes bleary. There was a cigarette tucked behind each of his ears. And that is not the Rufus that we know from the show. Was he a scruffy kind of dude? Yeah, because he was like that, rocker, like 90s grunge kind of thing. But this is like dirty. Those are two very different things. And so it's just like, I don't know. It's really weird to hear him described as that. Especially, like I said, in the last little clip where I talked about him like being the one to supply alcohol. This one where he's like has 2 cigarettes behind his ears. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird how different he is in the book. Like, I wonder, there's no way that him and Lily have a romance in the book series. Am I right? Like, there's just, I just finished book 1 of the Gossip Girl series. This pretty much just follows the pilot episode, so I'm really not sure. Like, book 2 and 3 must be jam-packed if books 1 through 3 are just the first season. We will see. I'm going to move on to book to book number 2 tonight. But honestly, there wasn't really anything else that was different from the show in the book. The only thing that I can think of that was different is the way that Dan and Serena kind of meet, or like officially meet. Obviously, Dan knows who Serena is, but she didn't know who he was, just like in the show. So the way that they meet is actually because Serena is needing an extracurricular added to her like academic lineup for college and admissions and all of that different kind of stuff. And since she came to school a little bit late because of the whole boarding school situation, her options are kind of limited. And Vanessa is making a movie. And so she has flyers posted around Constance asking for people to sign up to audition for a role in the movie, blah, blah, blah. So Serena auditions for it, and Dan was already her like leading man of the movie, of course. And yes, Vanessa does still like Dan in the book. So Serena auditions for this. Vanessa doesn't give her the part because of the chemistry that Dan and Serena have together. But then Serena decides to skip the kiss on the lips party, and she actually had called Vanessa because since Serena wasn't going to be part of Vanessa's movie, Serena decided she was going to make her own movie. That way she can still have this extracurricular. And so Serena calls Vanessa for like, hey, is there any way you would be willing to maybe help me out with some tips on like how to go about this project and things like that. And in that conversation, Vanessa invites Serena out with her since Serena is not going to the Kiss on the Lips party. Serena agrees and Dan is there as well. So that's like their first hangout kind of thing rather than them going on their first date the night of Kiss on the Lips. They are like hanging out with Vanessa, and Serena has like built this friendship with Vanessa before even meeting Dan. And then the Kiss on the Lips party ends in the same way that it does in the show. They have to go rescue Ginny from Chuck. And that honestly is like kind of where the book ends, is at the end of that night. We don't even really see or hear anything about the following days or anything like that. So that's what we're going to be moving into when we start book 2. So I am going to start book 2 tonight. I also do have book 2 on audiobook. And if there's anything worth updating on book 2 that I read tonight, I will update you. But then tomorrow, I'm probably going to be listening to a lot of that on the audiobook. The kids have out of town wrestling tournament, so we're going to have some drive time. And that's normally whenever I listen to audiobooks. So I think my plan is going to be listening to that audiobook during the drive time. And then I'll just make notes like on the notes app on my phone of anything that I need to update you on. And then I'll just do like a full download of updates when I get back home tomorrow. So that is going to be the plan moving forward. But yeah, I mean, overall, obviously there's a little bit of differences, like I said, mostly with character dynamics, relationships, or like missing characters from the show to the book. And other than that, I feel like it really kind of stuck to the storyline. Blair, by this point, does already know about the whole Serena and Nate situation. She has given the ultimatum of like me or Serena kind of thing to Nate, and he chooses Blair. All of that has already taken place. But like I said, this was just the pilot episode. So either we're going to have to still split this up to where this is only a vlog for books 1 through 3, but we're not going to be able to watch season 1 yet. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's just that books 2 and 3 are like jam-packed. It honestly has me really excited to check it out and find out. So that's what we're going to do. We're back from wrestling, so here's some updates. Number 1, I'm a little bit over halfway through the second book now. I can't remember in the last clip that I recorded if I talked about this or not, but basically Blair's just aesthetic in this book is different than anything I've ever seen her wear in the show. Like the book starts off with her and Nate having a dinner with her dad, and she is wearing like leather pants, and I don't know. It's just like it doesn't seem like anything that she would actually wear. That's really like a lot of the differences so far in this book have to do with Blair. So the other thing is her middle name in the book is Paige, Blair Paige Waldorf. Cornelia goes so much better. I'm so sorry, but it 100% goes way better with the whole vibe of the show and the book and the whatever. Um, she also though, she like shoplifted, which again, like I feel like Blair, I feel like there's probably even a point in the show where she like talks down on people that do that, and like I just feel like it's such an action that's so beneath the character that we see in the show. So I was really shocked to see it happen in the book. But yeah. And then right now, the point of the book that I'm at is everyone is going on their college visits. Now, in the show, the way the college visit went was like everyone went to Yale, and we get that whole kind of like battle between Serena and Blair there. And that's also when a lot of people at Yale are like on the hunt for Nate Archibald because of what the captain did, but they set Dan up to like be the one that gets targeted instead of Nate, all of those kinds of things. Here in the book, Blair goes to a Yale college visit, but she goes with Aaron, Cyrus's son, who is her stepbrother, and he actually has moved in with her. Which in the show, we see Aaron, we meet Aaron. He has a relationship with Serena in the show, but he doesn't actually like live at Blair's house with his dad and Blair and her mom. But here in the book, he does. And so they're going to a Yale college visit together. And then Dan, Serena, and Nate, and then some other college friends that like we don't know them in the show. Not college friends, sorry, high school friends that we aren't familiar with from the show. They are all going to Brown together for a college visit. Dan had built this up as like a romantic getaway weekend almost kind of thing with Serena, and then she ended up inviting other people because she feels like Dan is coming on too strong with his like romantic feelings, and she's like kind of getting the ick, honestly. But so far in book 2, we've not even heard anything about Chuck Bass. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so I'm going to keep going. That's the update for now, and we'll see how it goes. Reading an update, and this is kind of weird, but like the audiobook and the book are different. Now that like I was back home, I was reading the physical copy of the book, and then I wanted to do some work on my laptop, so I was switching back to the audiobook, but I needed to find where I was, like since I had stopped the audio and picked up the physical, and I like couldn't figure out exactly where I was because I was like this like what I was hearing did not happen in the book. Like there was this conversation about like that Blair had with Aaron after her interview with the Yale person, and like that conversation did not happen in the physical book. And then I was like, okay, let me just like keep listening and also kind of reading along with the physical book and see if I can like maybe I just zoned out for a little bit and don't remember that. Like I was literally being gaslit by like gaslighting myself about this. And then it jumped from the interviewing section to all of a sudden Serena is winning this award, and they skipped this whole entire section of like Jenny and Vanessa finally actually becoming friends themselves. Like 3 chapters are missing that like just didn't happen with the audiobook. Like I'm so confused and it's so annoying. Anyways, similar to the TV show, but also a little bit different. Literally everyone screws up their interview at the respective college that they went to visit. Even Serena, that's the only part that I feel like is different in the book than the TV show, because in the TV show, Serena, like, you know, impresses everyone and she's immediately put on the short list and blah, 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 blah. But in the book, there's no one that does good in their interview. Blair, like, admits to shoplifting out of nowhere during her interview. Like, her nerves just got the best of her, plus her and Aaron like stayed up too late the night before, and then they were late waking up, and then they had car trouble, and it was like just this whole big deal. And so she was just flustered going into the meeting. But yeah. Also, something that's like really weird and not making sense with the book, and it's not like this in the show, but prior to the college visit, Nate and Ginny meet each other. By the way, everyone in the book calls Ginny Jennifer, and I can't stand it. Gossip Girl herself refers to her as Little J from time to time, which I feel like everyone on the show either calls her Little J or Ginny Humphrey. In the book, she is Jennifer. Occasionally, she gets called Ginny. But, anyways, her and Nate meet and they have their like flirtation or whatever, same as in the TV show. But what's weird to me is in the book, Ginny is like obsessed with Serena, like she was on the TV show. Like she wants to be friends with her, she wants to be her, she wants to be popular, blah, 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 blah. But she doesn't know that Blair and Nate have a relationship. How? That literally makes zero sense at all. And so basically, like, currently in the book, Nathan has like a full on relationship with both Jenny and Blair going on. But like, Blair doesn't know who Jenny is, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. Except, well, no, because Jenny did do the invitation for the kiss on the lips party. Like that still happened. So Blair and Jenny know each other. It makes absolutely zero sense that Jenny doesn't know about this relationship, is what I'm saying. But they're full on acting like in the book that it's completely, totally plausible for Nate to be doing this because Jenny doesn't know about Blair and Blair doesn't know about Jenny. Like they don't know each other exist, but that's a lie. Finished book 2. I think that what they were doing, and I don't know why I didn't clock this sooner, but you know, there's that one part of Gossip Girl where for Blair's, I think it still is her 18th birthday, she has like that masquerade party. And this is kind of where, like, there is a part of this where there is some like Ginny and Nate stuff because Nate thinks that Ginny is Serena because of the whole masquerade situation and they end up kissing. So there is that little dynamic there that is kind of drawn from the book, but in the book it's like way more, it's not like an accident is what I'm trying to say. But in the masquerade it's like Nate is supposed to find Blair by midnight so they can, you know, and in this book Blair's 18th birthday is the day that Eleanor and Cyrus get married. But there's still this element of like Blair thinks that that's going to be the night for her and Nate, and he ends up just spending time with Ginny instead. Which there's also another birthday of Blair's in the show that he ends up spending time with Ginny, but they're like just as friends, and it's whenever they're like just starting to meet each other. So maybe it's kind of just like they kind of took from this in the book and split it between two different birthdays because there's a lot of elements that were the same but a little bit different. But we kind of end this book off with Blair and Serena kind of seeming to make up their spending time with each other up in the suite that Blair had gotten for her and Nate instead. And yeah, so Blair and Serena have made up. In the very last like few pages of the book we get mention of Chuck. He was not in this book like at all. There was nothing going on with Chuck. And like I said, he's only mentioned as like being a guest to the wedding, and that's literally it. So we end with Serena and Blair making up. Nate and Ginny are you know, kind of starting their relationship. And then there's actually a part here at the end where it's like Vanessa and Dan. Like Vanessa has liked Dan this whole time, just like in the show, she's pining after Dan. But Dan is realizing that he is also attracted to Vanessa, even though he's been pining after Serena. So we're starting to see that as well. So we'll see how long that lasts. One thing that I did notice, and I forgot to mention this earlier in the book, is Vanessa's character is more so described as one of the characters from the Gossip Girl reboot, like looks wise, because I'm pretty sure, because like I barely watched that. Um, I think I watched all of season one, but I didn't watch the rest. But isn't there like a girl that's like bald or shaves her hair or something like that? That's what Vanessa's character is described as. Like she's just way more edgier and different different like style like that, and I feel like that more so goes with one of the characters on the reboot and not the any of the characters on the original Gossip Girl show. But we will be moving on to book 3. I don't know if I ever said this. Book 2 was called You Know You Love Me, and book 3 is called All I Want Is Everything. So that's what we will be moving on to, and that's going to be our last book of this reading vlog. So here we go.
Well, it's hard to live in the city.
I wanted to give an update on this third Gossip Girl book. I don't think I have yet, and I'm like almost done with it. About 3/4 of the way done. It's honestly, this book is really weird compared to all of the other ones because aside from the like Nate, Ginny, Blair kind of situation, none of this has really ever been anything in the show. I guess maybe Vanessa and Dan's relationship too, because that is part of this book, but not the like conflicts that are happening in their relationship. Like, I don't know. This one is just really weird because it seems to have extremely veered off the track of the actual show. And I actually think where this is headed, so crazy. But like I've mentioned in some of my previous updates, Cyrus and Eleanor are already married, and Cyrus's son Aaron moves in with them. Right now, they're on like a Christmas vacation in St. Bart's. Again, Chuck is barely in this book. There's been a couple mentions of him, but like just now, his parents arrived in St. Bart's to vacation, but like Chuck isn't with them. So it's like he's really like not around. And like Nate hangs out with people all the time, but Chuck is not one of them. So I don't know. The whole Chuck situation is kind of weird to me because how did he become such a main character of the show when honestly in the books he's like not at all a main character? But okay, where I think this is headed with Blair, and this is a storyline in the show, but for a different set of people. But so, okay, Aaron is her stepbrother, and Aaron has a crush on Blair. So I think that's where this storyline is kind of headed. They're on vacation right now together. And obviously, that same kind of situation kind of happens with like Dan and Serena because of Lily and Rufus. But then Serena dates Aaron in the show. So it's like they're definitely pulling from sections of this book for certain storylines in the show, but it's just not for the same characters. But yeah, so far this has been the oddest read that I've had for this vlog because it just seems so separate from the show in this book in almost every way. Like Serena and Blair are friends in this one. And honestly, like Blair isn't even that hung up on Nate. I feel like in the show, at least the first time Blair and Nate like break up and have their issues, Blair is still very much wanting him back and like pining for him, and he's not so much pining for her, but he's like has this constant like battle in his brain of who do I want to be with? Who am I more attracted to? Ginny or Blair? Ginny or Blair? I don't feel like it was like that in the show. I feel like it was a very minute amount of time where he was like kind of flirtatious with Ginny, and then he moved on from it and wanted Blair back like almost immediately. And so I don't, just everything about this book is so weird, but I felt like I hadn't really given an update on this one yet. And since I am almost done with it, I wanted to share kind of where my thoughts were right now before I like finish it all. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. We have officially finished all 3 of the first books in the Gossip Girl series, let's chat about this third book here. So, honestly, I feel like this one, for the most part, like in its entirety, was the most different from the show. But there were also a lot of elements that I could tell they pulled from this book for certain, like, off the cuff storylines for certain episodes. Like all the flirtation between Nate and Jenny, the whole Aaron and Serena relationship. Even this may be the inspiration for the whole Dan and Serena and like Lily and Rufus situation with the whole step sibling conundrum and all of that, because so far there's no mention of Lily and Rufus knowing each other in the books. Lily is barely in the books. She's only been in there like a couple of times throughout all three of them. Um there's the storyline of Vanessa getting, in the book it's a poem, because in the book Dan is a poet, not a full-blown writer of like novels and things. So she gets one of his poems published in the New Yorker. We had that storyline in one episode of the TV show. So I feel like this was one, a filler book, because honestly not a ton happened. There's just like this weird relationship that Serena kind of sort of has with this rock star guy that she doesn't even really like want to be with, but she's kind of just, he's there, and whenever he's there she's like, okay, whatever, you're here, but other than that she's like, I'm not interested, I'm not going out of my way for this relationship. And then there's the whole back and forth of Nate and Blair. By the end of this book, Blair, like Nate finds Blair at this New Year's Eve party and tells her that him and Jenny have, or Jennifer, have broken up, which is actually not true. And at the same time, Jenny is coming to this party. And when Jenny gets there and sees Nate flirting with Blair, she kind of has like a little bit of a freak out, and she's like, fuck you, like you just told me that you love me, and now here you are like flirting with your ex-girlfriend. And that also makes Blair mad, and she's like, I'm not for this kind of, situation. I'm good with just being alone. I want nothing to do with you. So we see that kind of thing play out, which is a little bit similar to how some of the situations with Nate and Blair were in the TV show. But overall, this very much just felt like a filler. There wasn't a whole lot that happened. Towards the end, there was this part between Blair and Chuck where I was like, oh, are we going to get the Blair and Chuck romance to begin? But it didn't happen. She definitely just like brushed him off and was like, ooh, you're a creep, leave me alone. And that was kind of the end of that. He went back with Claudia and Iz, and that was really it. So I don't know if you guys are interested like in this kind of vlog. I definitely still have 6 more books that I own. And they should go in the next, like, they should be the next 6 books. I don't think that I own all of them. I'll have to look and see. But I do have the next 6 books in the series. If you guys like this and you want me to continue reading the series, please let me know in the comments, because I'd love to do some more of this. I probably will continue reading them anyways. But let me know if you guys are interested in hearing about what happens in the books. And yeah, we'll just keep going on this journey together if that's what you guys want to see. But I had a lot of fun with it. It was really interesting to see what parts of the what parts of the TV show were like directly pulled from the book. It's so crazy to me how closely book 1 followed the pilot episode, and then it's just like bit by bit we're pulling way far away from the book at all. I'm just intrigued to see, like, does it completely just go away from the book? Like, there's nothing else aside from the pilot episode that's the same? Or is there just some way that in the books we kind of get back to where they are on the TV show? I have no idea. Don't know yet if Blair gets into Yale or not. It's looking kind of not great chances at the moment, but not for the reasons that they showed in the TV show. I don't know where Nate's going to go. Don't know where Serena's going to go. I don't know. We'll see. But this was fun. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll be back with another video soon.